in person. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Honorable James.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, on the first matter, that Mr. Kobe, we can engage and then proceed from the matter from that point. And then secondly, on the letter that we've received from Sarah Jane Trent's lawyers, this is not the first time this committee is being threatened by lawyers. And we said it when, I think it was Mr. Kat Matlala's people that also threatened us and said, you must get back to us by this time or else. Let them take us to court and let them do what they need to do. Imagine being threatened and dictated to by someone who herself obtain information on various people illegally, on a person that has infiltrated our state and asking for information and sending ministers' ID numbers around. And she now has the nerve via her lawyers to tell us that we obtained this information illegally. We cannot be dictated to as a committee. We said that we are protected by the parliamentary privilege in how we obtain our information. We also said that this committee hasn't been blessed with a forensic investigator, and therefore we've had to do our own digging to basically get to the truth and to the bottom of all this. We cannot be threatened with legal action because of the way we ask questions or obtain our information. She also cannot come here and make us sign an undertaking in 30 minutes that she mustn't be asked questions. Let them do what they want to do. Let them take us to court if they want to take us to court. But she herself obtained information illegally. And that is our stance. We're not going to be dictated to, and we're not going to be told here what to ask and what we cannot ask. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Salt, I'm back with you.
No, Chair, I just wanted to say that I think Mr. Kube should appear in person. And I take it that on the issue of the how the information was acquired from Honorable James, I take it that it was acquired legally. So, and we take that in good faith. So my suggestion stands that in that case, the committee didn't get it through illegal means. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, honorable members. We are going to accept decide the way members have proposed here. Number one is that on the matter of Sarah Jane Trent, I think the legal team is right, and members have said that we will write back to her and respond in the manner which is being proposed. And number two, that even when we do that understanding that the citizens of South Africa have rights, and that as a committee, our powers are not limitless, but also importantly that the rights of the citizens are also subjected to the law of general application, where you can't just have a citizen saying, because I have rights, this and that cannot be done. I think let's not talk confrontation. Let's talk about how best we can bring the witness before us, and the witness responds to questions to the best of his or her ability. But the committee cannot also be impeded from doing its work because it is being threatened by this and that. I think in whatever manner we respond, Ms. Sarah Jane Trent must understand that within our terms of reference, we are investigating interference by members of the public, and doing the kind of the work that she was doing. If there is any way in which her alleged relationship with the officers of the SAPS or IPIT have in one way or another impacted on their conduct or influence certain actions or decisions that they would have taken, she can come before us and say, you can't ask me questions about the following things. There are certain questions which we will not ask, but we can't ask them how many times they met or how many times they did what. But we can ask her whether indeed it's true that her relationship could have influenced certain decisions. And if there is nothing to hide, I think she can always respond to the committee and say, look, this was just a social relationship. There is not in any way, we kept it professional. We did not influence any decision. Whatever decision would have been taken, it would have been a decision of people who have studied every case and arrived at certain conclusions, not because of whatever social relations or affairs that could have been. I think we just have to indicate to her, and members are right, that witnesses can prescribe to us whether on what they should be asked and what they cannot be asked. And then on the other matter, Mr. Honorable Matlhatsi has requested that the committee must listen to Mr. Teenage Kumbe. Mr. Teenage Kumbe appeared on a television platform. I think it could have been one of the three main TV stations in the country, news stations. And then he made the statement that he made about his knowledge of corrupt activities happening. And that is why Honorable Matlhatsi wrote to us. And we wanted to know from members whether we could take a written statement from Mr. Kumbe or he could appear before the committee. And what I hear the committee members saying is that, number one, they must explain in the same way as we laid those conditions, explain why they have not met the deadline. And number two, I think with regard to the conditions that are being made to say, in the event I come, I will want Parliament to take care of my security and this and that. Those are the things that the team of Parliament could go and look at. But we must also be wary of Parliament being abused. I don't understand why a witness says, I want to appear before Parliament. And then or somebody recommends that witness so and so must appear before Parliament. And when that witness has to come before Parliament, all of a sudden there are conditions that I can appear, but I only appear on the following conditions. I don't think that this is what we are looking for. So we will first have to wait to get an explanation as to why the witness has not complied with the 31 October deadline. And from there, we can then decide that we are going to take a statement or to schedule the witness to appear.